So you have this whole IRS thing happen where since Tea Party groups have been complaining, I know it's been on Breitbart. I know Scottie's talked about it. I know others who have complained about it going on for a long time now that we're being targeted. And everyone says, oh, all the conspiracy theorists, all the conspiracy, it's only paranoia if they're not really out to get you. And today, basically everyone, actually it happened on Friday, basically everyone decided to admit to the fact that it's not paranoia. That actually they're out to get us. So there you have it. And so then in looking at this and in analyzing this, Michelle Bachmann says, this has been going on since 2011. And I'm not so sure that I'm falling for the fact that the government just woke up to this fact and the mainstream media just woke up to this fact. And all of a sudden today we're having a big pity party for the Tea Party. It's not making much sense. And she says it's a distraction from Benghazi. So we are going to get the perspective of the one and only Scottie Nell Hughes from Tea Party News Network. Welcome to the Dr. Gina Show. Frequent guest here. Welcome, Scottie.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Gina. Glad that I could be with you today.
Well, you've been with everybody else, so I just figured I wanted to join the party. I think you've even done mainstream media, CBS, if I'm not mistaken, and they didn't pulverize you. You let them in your home, Scottie. You and I, we have that in common. I think we're the only two conservatives to ever actually let them in our home. But the difference is they actually gave you pretty fair coverage. Does that make the conspiracy wheels start turning in your mind like they're evidently turning in the mind of Michelle Bachmann?
I can understand where conspiracy theories coming. There is no doubt. And let me say this one. You are still a lot more brave than I am to allow the network news or the network media into your house. I thought because it was Mother's Day that it would look really, really bad if they made a demonize a mom who opened up her home on Mother's Day. And you know what? CBS was fair.
They
and
were
that
fair.
Was something, that's the kind of media that we want. That's the kind of media that we expect. They told both sides of the story, the honest-to-God truth. Now, I understand where Congresswoman Bachmann's coming with a conspiracy theory. Because remember, this is a conspiracy theory to us. Any of us that had said this the last 3.5 years, we were termed as conspiracy UFOs are coming to suck our brains theorists.
Yes.
And it's true. But the key is with this, Benghazi's not going to go away. This is a big deal, and yes, we're going to continue to have people like myself and those that are intimately involved with the movement making this a big deal. But that doesn't take away from those that are also involved with the Benghazi standing up and making sure that their cries are heard just as well. There is no reason why both stories should not be kicking off the evening news tonight.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I have to feel I have so much respect for Michelle Bachmann. I am glad she pointed this out because even though I disagree with the fact that this could in any way distract us from Benghazi, exactly as you said, I don't put it past this administration to capitalize on whatever crisis, and I think they've had this in their back pocket. I really don't put it past this administration to have used this as a herring. Do you?
No, I don't. And unfortunately, we've seen in this administration, one scandal is used to cover up another scandal, and then another scandal. We saw it originally, obviously, Fast and Furious, Solyndra, Benghazi. We've seen it with all the different economic crises. The president and his administration uses one scandal to cover up another. However, with each one, we keep getting worse and worse and worse, which scares me for the scandal they're going to use to try to cover up this, because what they've done, I think they've opened up Pandora's box. I think when they realized that the donors list that were turned in, the names that were turned into the IRS, when they sit and go through and realize these people were all audited and these conservative businesses were all audited, then there's going to be an even bigger scandal on their hands.
So tell us exactly what happened to your organization, and I know one of your sister organizations was involved as well. Explain for listeners who didn't get to see you on any of the number of major news networks you've been on this week. Explain what did happen so people understand your story.
Well, really simple. I work with the Tea Party News Network. It's a for-profit company. And one of the main reasons why we started a for-profit company is because our sister organization, the TeaParty.net, has gone through absolute leaps and bounds and hoops trying to get their 501c4 status. And we did not want to do that with this organization. We wanted to hit the road, and we needed to keep these politicians deep to the fire. So we went on and filed as a for-profit. But prior to this, I was with the TeaParty.net, and for the last 3.5 years, we have gone through 3 separate inquiries from the IRS. First one, traditional. We want to make sure that those involved with 501c4s and nonprofits are legitimate, that people are giving their money to exactly who they want to give it to, and it's being used for the purposes as stated for the reason why they donated the money. Simple. No problem. Except a year later, we got a second inquiry asking for every single one of our donors. Anybody that had given $1, anybody that had given $10,000. They wanted their name and their contact information. If that does not scream red flag to anybody, then they don't need to be living in the United States of America where we have First Amendment and freedoms.
Right.
So we have great attorneys who said, no, we're not going to give it to you. We're going to give you those over $5,000. That's what we have to do. And we contacted each of those people, and there was only 5 or 6 of them. Did you know this, Gina? You're very involved with the Tea Party movement. Do you know the average Tea Party donor only gives $45?
I'm honestly surprised it's that high. I would have guessed 30.
Well, like I said, you can go back and forth between those that give higher, $100 to $500, to those that do give. And why is that? Because that is usually what people save. Those are people's grocery dollars.
Yes.
Those are people that the money that they use not to go out to eat one night and say, you know what, I'm going to advance America. And that's what makes this so disgusting.
Well, that
those
makes it,
people are the ones demonized.
Yeah, that is what is so enraging about this. And I just want to say for one moment, I don't care what the organization is, the amount of time that it must have taken you away from the messaging and all the things you were actually hired to do, just to deal with all of this red tape baloney, that in and of itself is criminal.
No, completely right. And you know what? I'm a part of an organization that's blessed to have a great attorney who's used to dealing with political law and knew the loopholes and then accounted. Here's what scares me, Dr. Gina. You travel across the United States. You speak at great events like the one you spoke at D.C. last week of these smaller grassroots organizations that might not have the resources to have a full-time accountant or a full-time attorney looking over their shoulders. And they turned in their donor list. And because they thought that's, who would have ever thought the government was going to target people? And it was actually an orchestrated, coordinated event through a governmental agency to target a conservative movement. Who would have ever thought that? So what scares me are all these local organizations that were not only turned in their list, but were intimidated and that were oppressed and did not get their message out in 2012 to defeat Barack Obama.
Yeah. I'm remiss for not saying Happy Mother's Day to you. One of my favorite moms out there, actually, and a darling mom. I've seen you with your children, and I just wanted to get that out there. I want to ask you a couple more questions, and we're really short on time. But one of the questions is, I saw Alan Combs talking about this, and he said this has been going on since 2011. Why is the media only now asking questions? I want to give that question to you.
Real simple. It's actually been before that. We noticed in 2010 when we started it, which is a shame. What's so funny about it, this is the same time that Obamacare got passed through, and they realized that they were going to need the IRS to pay for Obamacare. So it's really interesting, the coincidence in the timeline. But in reality, why this is, the key is going forward in all of it is that we need to make sure that the IRS, we've known about it for 3 years. Why is it just coming out? I don't know. I wish I knew. Something triggered it Friday. That will eventually come out. But we did talk to other organizations, but in reality, like I said, we were already demonized into these conspiracy theorists, so we were going to go by this legally and just keep pushing as much as we could until something like this broke. Yeah,
but for the little patriot groups out there, they don't have that level of sophistication, Scottie, and this could kill them, and that's what's a real tragedy about this. George Will said, let's turn the tables on this, and I'm going to ask you quickly, and again, we don't have much time, but just to paint the picture for us, Scottie, if this had been IRS, you go target any group with the name Progressive or Living Document Constitution, or let's do Islam or Muslim, what kind of response would there have been back in 2010 for those sorts of targets by the IRS?
Well, I can sit there and guarantee that, instead of sitting here and having a president stand up at a press conference today and say an independent organization, I disapprove of this happening with an independent organization like the IRS, which, by the way, just for the history majors or the presidents out there, the IRS is not independent. They fall underneath the Department of Treasury, which is led by a person appointed by the President of the United States.
Right.
So it is not independent. And so if this would have been another administration, a conservative in, I guarantee we would see riots outside the White House right now. There would be pickets, there would be cars burning, because that's unfortunately the hypocrisy of the liberal left.
So are there any updates, Scottie, as far as, I saw the press conference with the president this morning actually mention it. What was fun for me about that press conference, if I can digress just a moment, I remember when we all started the Tea Party. I remember that February day where I was standing underneath a rainy, cold St. Louis arch, wondering what in the world I had gotten myself into. Now I was a bona fide radical as far as the media was concerned. And I remember thinking the first time we were watching for the first time that a mainstream media outlet would use the word Tea Party, because we knew then we would have accomplished something. And I was thinking today, who would have ever thought that that little group of all of us standing around cold in various parts of the country that day, who would have ever thought that this president would actually be addressing our situation that personally at a White House press conference? That tells you that the Tea Party is here to stay. But the other thing that I wanted to say about that, the president saying, this needs to be stopped, so on and so forth. Has he taken any measures to actually stop anything? Have you seen any memos released from his office, any names being divulged, any actual aggressive steps toward his promise?
Mm-hmm. Well, major kudos to you, Gina, for getting in at the very beginning. I'll be honest with you, a lot of us kind of sat back and did get in a little bit farther down the line. And so major kudos to you for getting in from that very beginning. And who would have ever thought it would turn into the movement that it has today? And the Tea far from dead. When you're sitting here and having Harry Reid acknowledge it and say the Tea Party is alive and strong on the Hill, and then you're seeing obviously these kinds of acts with the president addressing it, and that's what going forward we're looking at. Yes, the president, he's sitting here and he's trying to blame it on different other people that he said were higher management is what we're finding out. We're also saying he's blaming it on minions in a Cincinnati office, which is absolutely a joke. Mm-hmm. People have to realize, if something like this is going on for 3.5 years, I guarantee the buck does not fall short in the doorsteps of the White House.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be looking for updates from you. I know you're going to be completely on top of this story, keeping us posted on whether or not the president, because words are empty without actions behind them. So we will be here holding him accountable and making a lot of noise if he doesn't follow through on some of the things that he said he's going to do today in that press conference. Scottie Hughes, tell everybody where we can find you.
Please go to tpnn.com, or you can also go to Town Hall. I like Gina writes for Town Hall, so you can read my latest article talking about this situation. But the TeaPartyNewsNetwork.com, best place to find me.
Scottie, thanks for taking time out of all your major network appearances to come here on the Dr. Gina Show. We're honored.
This is the most important appearance of all day, I promise you.
Oh, I love you too, sister. All right, say hello to that sweet family of yours. And again, happy Mother's Day. We'll talk to you soon, Scottie.
Happy Mother's Day to you too.
Thank you.